Despite the LEC having more of a down split in terms of the storylines leading into finals, it really wasn't an expectation that anybody would be able to compete with G2. We actually had a banger on our hands as Mad Lions was able to take game 1 and people thought, oh, wait a minute, is G2 really unbeatable, or maybe somebody's finally stepping up? Mad Lions having won 2 series already this weekend on both Friday over Fnatic and Saturday over BDS, notably without Adam, were pretty warmed up coming into the series. So it should be expected that they come out a little bit hotter in game 1, but G2 clapped back in games 2 and 3. All leading up to a very tense game 4 where the bot lane for Mad Lions Koi is really far ahead, the top side of G2 is really far ahead. It's all going to come down to one team fight and which side would carry more. And at the most important moment of the entire series, black screen. Nobody knows what's going on. I'm refreshing the YouTube stream to see what the hell is happening. Maybe something on my side. Did my Wi-Fi go down? Wait, no, Twitter's working. So let me open up Twitter. Oh, everybody's experiencing issues. No, the broadcast entirely went down on Twitch and YouTube with over 700,000 people watching. The broadcast just cut out, but there was a way to watch it. Kadrill's co-stream still working entirely. So all of a sudden you have a flock of people going over to his stream. Now 160,000 people watching Kadrill watch the LEC finals. Yike goes on to get a pentakill in that moment, and we end up having a G2 win, which was expected, but in a much closer manner than we all thought. But that's unfortunately not going to be the storyline that people walk away with, or at least that I personally walk away with from this LEC finals. And really, this LEC split as a whole, because if we're being honest, while it's great that Mad Lions was able to step up, we had a compelling narrative there. Fnatic obviously comes into this weekend, plays decently well. There's some interesting storylines, but for the most part, it went about as expected. It wasn't really the gameplay that made the LEC interesting this year. It was the introduction of K-Corp and these national fandoms that also include Mad Lions representing the Spanish scene with a bye. Viewership was higher than it ever was, including for finals this weekend prior to the stream going. Part of that due to the fandom, part of that due to growing co-streams that exist, both with Kadrill and others. The LEC seems to be thriving, and by all means, I don't want to minimize the impact that this blackout has on the LEC. There are some clear downsides, even if people are going to blow this a little bit out of proportion. First and foremost, my heart goes out to all the staff that work on the LEC that are still remaining. If you are in the dark, Riot Games laid off a bunch of people, about 11% of their entire workforce, to try and scale back to a growable level and focus on the things that they find important. But esports, notably with the LEC, got hit the hardest out of anybody. So with that, we knew that there were going to be broadcast challenges. We knew there were going to be issues, and myself and others have been preaching the entire time, do not take this out on them at all. They are working behind the scenes, especially when you look at something like today. Obviously, they're trying to put out that fire. If you think that they wanted that to happen, you're out of your mind. But we still don't know at the time of me recording this, at least, whether it was something that could have been prevented by having more people on hand, whether this was something else entirely different, that, hey, nobody's fault there. It just kind of is what it is. But regardless, it's not a good look for the LEC. And again, the onus does not go on the individual people trying to solve the problem. The onus goes on the people at the top that made those decisions to scale back and bring upon these problems themselves. It's a lot of self-inflicted wounds, as the majority of the issues in LoL esports tend to be. I'm still not fully over the fact that this finals was held in the Riot Games arena. Group stage is going to be held there. For LCS, we're having our finals in the Riot Game arena. Like, that's self-inflicted on the league's part. Like, you force these massive events for a long period of time. It's like, oh, well, now we need to scale back. That was your like, you set the foundation for all this. You were the ones that made this unsustainable format rather than going smaller, and not going to waste any more time on that. But regardless of how you see it, it's not a good look for the LEC. People will inherently lose trust in your broadcast. People will inherently tune elsewhere, which is why this is a massive benefit to Kadrill. Kadrill now gets even more. Like, all of a sudden, he gets 160,000 viewers literally dumped in his lap. Obviously, he had a lot on his own. I don't want to take anything away from that. I'm just saying he got like the exponentially more people that started tuning in because he was the only live source. They all then get a 60-second ad break ran on them, as, you know, Kadrill gets to maximize that, which, hey, you, by all means, you make that call every single time right after the game is over to maximize on that ad revenue. So it's smart Smart play there from Cadril. But now there is going to be a small group of people, probably still not the majority, I don't think, that are going to be weary about tuning into the LEC broadcast in fear of this happening again at a crucial moment like this. You basically have to wait till another finals for them to be able to prove themselves that it won't happen again, especially as viewership numbers get bigger and bigger, which I'm assuming increases the load and bear on like everything behind it. I don't know the technical side of stuff, but that will eventually create problems because when more people are watching it via Cadril and sponsors are looking to reach out and they talk to the LEC, it's like, okay, well, you know, would I rather, if I'm an ad agency, go with the LEC or go with this growing creator that's getting more and more views, like regardless of whether he's leeching off of Riot's, you know, intellectual property and like watching theirs, like that doesn't matter. Like Lil Caesars or whoever I'm like is sponsoring, they're gonna look at Cadril first before they look at the LEC, because in the LEC you also have like different audiences with different languages that might be tuning in. It's the historical issue that the LEC has had for a long period of time when it comes to ad revenue and why North America has always been so coveted. But now when you have it just like Cadril right there as like the English speaking person for the LEC broadcast, like he's going to have sponsorships just lining up, and it's just a matter of whether Riot blocks anything or not. I mean, technically, I don't think they will, but don't forget, Riot could go the route of like using Scump and Zuma's numbers with their watch parties to sell a media rights deal for the Call of Duty League and then forcing them to go to YouTube to be able to watch it. Like that type of stuff is entirely possible, to be very clear. Will it happen? No, I think Riot handles things a little bit better than Activision Blizzard. But the point is the possibility is still there and something that you got to keep in the back of your mind. So what is the final takeaway from this weekend and this incident? Well, the reality is not much changes. At the end of the day, the LEC is still growing at a really good pace and quite frankly, one of the better broadcasts out there, even if content has kind of not been where it was back in 2019, where you had these massive storylines whenever the LEC was winning on the international stage as well. It's just more about domestic entertainment, which I think is popping off, and the viewership numbers show that. But if I'm Riot, I'm starting to get worried that you're slipping down the Valorant hole, where more and more reliance is going to come on these co-streamers. That potentially can be a good thing, obviously, as you gain more popularity, because individual streamers will have an easier time reaching out to a mass market than these media conglomerates, because people are less trusting of like a company rather than an individual, despite if the individual's working with the company, it's just a whole matter of perception. This incident's only going to snowball that further. Now we wait to see if there's going to be a drop-off in spring viewership, as G2 likely still is the best team again, and now K-Corp's back in it. So will viewership hit what it did in spring, or will we see that drop-off, and how far is the drop-off going to be? I don't know. Only time will tell. And we have to keep watching to find out. If you like this video and you like how I sound, be sure to check out my Elgato partner link down below. I'm using the Wave 3 microphone, which plugs directly into my phone, which is the device recording right now, and it increases the audio quality of any videos that I make tenfold. It's very easy to use, very easy to set up. The only attachment you need is a little dongle that connects a USB to your phone. Otherwise, you just plug the USB into your computer, and the Wavelink software is absolutely incredible. So if you want to get one for yourself, link down below. Thank you to Elgato for partnering with me and my content, and I'll be sure to catch you on the next video. We got a special edition of The Rendezvous and 100 Thieves this week as I watched a Valorant match for the first time. I'm going to talk about it. See you then.